Yes, people, Manscaped is back, but this time it's not for below the belt grooming. Manscaped brings to you the Beard Hedger, the best product on the market when it comes to beard trimmers. The Beard Hedger is unique due to its number of gradient settings. As someone who's purchased this, I won't turn to any other beard trimmer. Check it out for yourself at manscaped.com. And don't forget to use code FTM20 to get 20% off of this product.
Yes, people. Big up to all of you. The weekend preview is back. Football is back. I say football is back. Football is literally back. It's on right now. Fulham versus Manchester United. We're going to try and get back for the second half of that one. Please make sure you do me a favor. Hit the like button. Make sure you hit subscribe. And make sure if you do want to join as a member that you can do. The membership is now available. Please make sure you show Manscaped some love, people. Go to the Manscaped website and put in code FTM20 on the Beard Hedger to get 20% off. I am joined by a brilliant panel tonight. We've got Martin and Lawless that are going to be in the house very, very soon. But tonight I have Billy with me. Billy, how are you, bruv?
I'm very good, thank you, mate. I'm looking forward to I'm glad that the football's finally back.
100%, bruv. Graham, how are you, mate? Great to have you on the channel again, mate.
Yeah, thanks, mate. Thanks for the invite. Really looking forward to this tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. Tom, we've got you tomorrow, which means we got you on the channel for the first time, bro. How are you, bruv?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good here to behave myself and not wind you up, promise.
Try to do that, mate. Try your best to do that anyway, that's for sure. Big up, welcome, man. Great to have you. And Dan, likewise, man. Great to have you back.
Yeah, pleasure being back on. Feel like we haven't chatted about enough stuff in a while. So, yeah, pleasure to be on with everyone. And I'm buzzing this football season started, mate. Although I'm kind of gutted Man United at the first game, man. There's better teams to watch in there in the league than them.
I think everyone wants Fulham to win tonight, if I'm honest. Yeah. I don't think anybody on this panel wants Man United to win, that's for sure.
I want a Smith Rowe masterclass, mate. That's what I want.
That's what we just said off air, man. 100%.
Yeah.
Smith Rowe to do well. Let's hope so, man. Listen, let's talk about Arsenal Wolves first because we have got Graham and, of course, Tom on as well. Might as well come to a Wolves perspective on Arsenal tomorrow. Wolves, Tom, have sold a couple of their players. Obviously, Neto has gone to Chelsea. Kilman has gone to West Ham. Lots of reports about João Gomez as well, who I'm a big fan of. So what's it like at Wolves at the moment as you appear to be up against the mighty Arsenal tomorrow? What are you saying, bro?
3 points is what I'm saying. No, I suppose it's almost when I say support a club like Wolves, it's almost like you have to be realistic. I think originally when we came up from the Championship into the Premiership and we had all this, we thought we had this wealth, this richest club and we're going to go for it and sign absolutely everybody. And then it turns out actually that's not the reality. You almost have to kind of understand that and see where you're at. So it's almost like with Neto, it felt a little bit like with the Ruben Neves. So as soon as you get some real good players, we understand that people are going to be sniffing around. So it's almost like when we're watching them week in, week out, we want them to do well, but not too well, if that makes sense, because they start coming on people's radars. Neto's a fantastic footballer. Get the money where you see, etc. But in terms of the game tomorrow, I mean, from our perspective, in a way, because it's the first game of the season, that kind of brings you maybe a little bit of hope because you're thinking, are you firing on all cylinders? But my best friend's like a die-hard Arsenal fan. Apparently, you guys have been flying in pre-season, so he kind of cut all hope that I had dead with that. So, I mean, it'd be absolutely fun. I mean, we would celebrate a draw or anything, but as long as we didn't get mullered, I probably would take that part.
Yeah, listen, I'm getting a bit of background noise from someone. I'm not quite sure who it is, but I do feel like pre-season, the last couple of games has definitely helped us. Leverkusen and Lyon, we looked fantastic. And Graham, let me come to you. I haven't really spoke to you much about the Arsenal in pre-season. I know obviously in America we looked a little bit more, some of the young players, Ethan Nwaneri and Lewis Skelly, of course, but for me, I think in the pre-season at the Emirates, we looked pretty rapid, mate, if I'm honest with you, particularly against Leverkusen. I was there, couldn't believe how good we looked. Going into this game tomorrow, though, I wanted to get a bit of team news from you because there's definitely question marks at left back, left 8, and certainly left wing. We've got Trossard or Martinelli, Zinchenko, maybe Calafiori or Timber. Arteta says are both available. So I'll be really interested for you to see what our left-hand side looks like in Arsenal, if I'm honest with you. What are you saying, Graham?
Yeah, I think the left-hand side has looked really good in pre-season, hasn't it? I think we saw last season, the left-hand side wasn't quite what it was the previous season, but one of the reasons why it's been so good this season, love him or hate him, is because of Zinchenko, isn't it? I think he's been probably one of our best players pre-season, and he's been really excellent. And that's one of the reasons why I think that we have been playing really well on that left-hand side. The way he drops between the centre halves, the way he comes into midfield, the way he joins the attack, and also he's not just coming on the outside of the left winger, as you saw in the goal against Leverkusen. I mean, you were there, Dan. He basically swept it in from the edge of the penalty box. So basically, he looks like a player rejuvenated, somebody who knows his position's up for grabs, and someone who's come back really focused and determined, really, to sort of like make his mark. Because he must be aware that Calafiori is there, and probably won't be long before he, in my opinion, takes that slot. So he knows, a bit like Gabriel Jesus, that they really need to hit the ground running this season. So I think that he will play at left back tomorrow. I think that the Martinelli Trossard is the one I'm not totally sure about, because make no mistake, Dan, this is a massive season for Martinelli. After last season, the drop off from the previous season, he really needs to have a big season this season. And I think Trossard came in the end of last season. The problem he's got, Martinelli, is that obviously Trossard and Havertz play so well together, and so. And we saw in the pre-season, the three of them, Arteta even talked about in his press conferences, Jesus, Trossard and Havertz, they seem to dovetail so well together, great understanding, movement. One dropped in, one went out wide, one come inside, and one arrived late into the box. So they've got a great understanding. But I do think tomorrow Martinelli will start. I think Martinelli will be on the left-hand side to start the game. And I think there's sort of like lots of rumours today about Havertz possibly playing left 8 again, and Jesus playing down the middle. But I think that he will go with Saka, Havertz and Martinelli tomorrow, and I think the midfield three will be Partey, Odegaard and Rice.
Yeah, I think it has to be Partey, Odegaard and Rice tomorrow, and then Havertz starts in the 9 for me with Saka, and then either one of Trossard or Martinelli. I think it's interesting that Martinelli started the last pre-season game. Usually it means he starts the player who started that, but Trossard was so good against Leverkusen that I'd be very surprised, to be fair, if either of them do start. I do fancy Arsenal in this fixture. Billy, I'll come to you on this game because I know that obviously as a Villa fan you've got rivalry with Wolves. Do you think Arsenal get the job done at the Emirates?
Of course he's going to say that,
No, to be honest with you, living over here, I don't really see much of Wolves, so they're not really on my radar. I don't really see them as a kind of rival, to be perfectly honest with you. Obviously they are, but yeah, I don't really hear much of them on social media or anything. I don't know what they're doing, where they're going, transfers or anything. But yeah, I mean, Arsenal are Arsenal, aren't they? At the end of the day, you've done what you've done last season, came so close, and I think you're going to be there close again. And this is a game that I think you probably have to win to start that ball rolling and get that momentum going into the season if you want to be up there competing again.
Yeah, facts, man. Dan, I'll come to you from a Chelsea perspective. Arsenal, what are you expecting this season from us? Arteta under a bit of pressure, silverware needed?
Yeah, I definitely think under pressure, if silverware's not won, I fully expect Arsenal to go after the League Cup and get that out of the way nice and early. Obviously, if you got a trophy in the locker by February time, I think that'll push you on to sort of make up the gap that's been there in the last few seasons. For me, I expect a nearly perfect Arsenal, to be honest with you. I don't expect to see the mishaps that we saw last season and maybe in the season before that as well. I think, obviously, that's hard to say, but I think you guys as a group have felt the hurt a lot over the last 2 seasons, and I think this is the season to really prove that you're ready. I think Arteta's trying to keep a core knit of players together who have all felt that similar amount of pain and have the same amount of hunger. He's making few additions, and I think that's probably not to upset the apple cart. Don't get me wrong, though. He's not going to moan at being backed, but you have to remember that you're trying to close the gap to an unbelievable Manchester City side at the same time. So as long as you're not finishing the season and you've got games that were like that Fulham game, Aston Villa last season, where big points were dropped, and if Manchester City still win it, and it's because of the quality that they've got that Arsenal don't have, and I think that it can be the only reason Arsenal don't win the league this season. Anything else, it has to be in their hands, basically.
Well, listen, that boy says Lawless looks sad. Is that because you expect Arsenal to have a good season, Lawless? Like what we saying, bruv?
Expectations are huge. Never has there been more expectation, more pressure since probably in 20 years on Arsenal. Will Arsenal rise to the expectation or will they crumble? That's the question. And listen, my expectations are there. I expect you to be good. I expect you to do all those things, kick on and, really push Man City down to the wire. But, sometimes our expectations are not always met. So we'll see. We will see, Dad. We'll see, mate.
What would you do if you're an Arsenal fan? Obviously, you're a West Ham fan. You don't understand what it's like to be in a title race. But when you are in a title race, what would you do if you were Arsenal? Would you get rid of Mikel Arteta or would you keep him for another year?
Well, I would get rid of him. As a team that we've won the European trophy. By the way, we got rid of our manager after he'd won that and failed. We had standards. So if you've got to have standards, look at it. Third time, in a row, he's not got over the line. You got to ask the difficult questions. Do we just keep giving him money and go again and again and again just because you're up there? Or do you go, thank you for getting us here. We're going to try and go in a different direction. What's the worst thing? This team, is it Arteta that makes this team challenges, right? Obviously, he gets credit. But does it crumble without Arteta, or are these players good enough that if you get another manager, they'll still be up there and potentially get over the line? So is there a risk to getting rid of Arteta because maybe it's him as the X factor and the players, he's just getting that extra bit out of them? I think the players are good enough. That it's not a risk to get rid of Arteta.
Interesting. Graham, let me come to you quickly on that because there's a lot of people talking about Mikel Arteta. If he doesn't win a trophy this year, that it might be time to consider his future. I personally can't really defend anyone who's saying that we need to get rid of him if he doesn't win something because it has been a long, long time. I just want him to win something so desperately this season so we don't have to have that discussion, if I'm honest. Even if it is, like Dan says, a League Cup, an FA Cup, I think he needs to take domestic cup seriously this year. And I think that if we can go one better, brilliant in the league, the Champions League would be amazing still as well. But if we don't win a trophy and we come second again, like when is it going to happen for him, Graham? Do you know what I mean?
Well, I've seen that narrative quite a lot on social media. I've seen a narrative amongst sports pundits, but I don't think it's in the club, is it? The club is incredibly united behind Arteta, and that comes from the top to Edu, to the fan base. You saw at the end of last season the reaction he got on the pitch when the season was over. I think he brought the club back together. He brought the fans back together. But you are right in a way that when you're in top class sport, you're under pressure to win things. And I think the problem he's got is if you look about the title race. You look at Manchester City. They have got sort of like a squad of about 20 players who basically he can rotate any time. He's got a squad there, players he's paying big money to. So basically they built this squad of players up who he can rotate at any time, Guardiola. And the difference between them and Arsenal is, and this is what they're trying to bridge the gap now season after season, is Arteta's only got about 14, 15 he trusts. And we saw that last season. There's basically 8 players who have to play every game for Arteta. And he's only about 3 positions where there's sort of competition or he rotates, So, and he's trying to sort of like strengthen by obviously bringing in Calafiori on the left-hand side. He's trying to get Marino now into midfield. And he's trying to get a forward across the front line now who can offer something that the likes of Eddie Nketiah, Reece Nelson and players like that, who he's trying to get off the book. Smith Rowe, who he didn't trust. Although we love him as a footballer, I know, but he obviously clearly didn't trust him. So he's trying to sort of like move these players on and get players in who he trusts. So basically he's going to be able to rotate in those positions and get us closer to challenge to Manchester City. If we were in any another league and not in the same league as Manchester City, maybe we would win the league then. But the problem is Manchester City are Manchester City. And until Pep leaves or basically 115 charges come to bear and they're punished for that, it's going to be Arteta's problem. He's up against a team who basically know how to win titles. Last season, we won 16 of the last 18 games, didn't win the league. They barely drop any points in the second half of the season because he gets them all ready. He rotates the players. It's what he does season in, season out, and they understand the pressure. So coming back to your original question, does he have to win a trophy? Well, yes, he does, because I think the pressure will grow if he doesn't. So I think we have to take the other trophies like the FA Cup and the Carabao Cup seriously, because I think, if you win a trophy like that, it does buy him a bit of time, as it did when he won the FA Cup. So I do think it's important he wins a trophy. I think we will go close to Man City again. I think whether we knock them off the perch would depend on two things: whether he gets that quality midfielder he's looking for, and he gets either a player across the front line who can play across the front line, or somebody who can make a difference in the tight games. Because Arsenal, for me, are 9 out of 10 in most games. It's the games where we're 7 out of 10, where we're dominating games and we can't break teams down, where we need someone who can run through teams, like Dan's player Kudos. I'd love to see him at Arsenal, actually, Dan, if you can let him go. Someone like Kudos, or someone like a Haaland at Man City. If we had a player like that in these tight games that make the difference, turn that game against West Ham, where we dominated that whole game against West Ham, and Jesus couldn't hit a barn door that night, and we lost to West Ham. And there are other games where we dominate the games, we have all the ball, we just can't open teams up. We're not quite at it like we normally are, and that's where these players make a difference. I call them transition killers, players who make a difference in big games. So he needs to, I think, get somebody across that front line who can do that. And if he doesn't do that, of course, I'll just see Man City winning the league again. But in answer to your question, yes, he has to win a trophy, because we're not eventually, if you don't win a trophy, that's how you judge in football. Football is about winning.
100%, man. That's how you judge success, in my opinion. I think we have to win silverware. Before we move on to Villa and West Ham, Tom, I'll come to you quickly on Wolves, because Gary O'Neill, I think, has done a great job last season. I think he surprised a lot of people. Certainly did a good job at Bournemouth keeping them up. Surprised they got rid of him. Obviously, they're looking good now, Viriola, but I think he's coming at Wolves. And to be fair, VAR absolutely killed you. What are you expecting for Wolves this season? Because I looked at it, bruv. I'm not lying. There's a lot of people that have put you in the relegation zone, fighting relegation because of Kilman going, I suppose, and Pedro Neto. Is that a bit disrespectful, do you think, or do you think you'll struggle this year, mate?
Yeah, I mean, when I'm on the Wolves fancast, I'm told I'm too optimistic. So you'll have to kind of bear that in your judgment. There is, in my opinion, there is no way on this dynasty that we're ever going to get relegated. We're just too good in terms of that. I don't think it's a concern for us whatsoever. Last year, however, I was seriously concerned, right? Because we had a lot of the main team leave, and the size of our squad was completely diminished. Gary O'Neill I think he came in 2 or 3 weeks before the season, because lovely Lopetegui decided that he was going to go and do one and go on to pastures new. Gary O'Neill, very little time came in. We played unbelievably well against Man United away. That was the one where Onana punched our striker in the head, if you remember, at the start of the season. And VAR said, again, just to relate to the VAR thing that you said, no penalty. In terms of what I expect, I genuinely think it'll be a comfortable mid-table finish. With Kilman going, my opinion, he's a good, solid defender, but he always looked like he needed a good defender next to him, if that makes sense, to make him look better. He didn't come across as a leader, as a captain. So in terms of him going, I don't think it doesn't really strike me as the biggest loss, especially for the amount of money that we got. We've got a player called Mosquera. I'm hoping he starts tomorrow. Now, he's unproven in the Premiership, and he's a different level of gravy. But in pre-season, he's looked really, really good. I think we've got more strength in depth from a Wolves perspective as well. Signed Rodrigo Gomez, so got a little bit more firepower up front, and a little bit more. Last season, we were bringing on academy players, 17 years old, hadn't even played in it for a championship club on loan, etc. And all of a sudden, they're starting up front in Premier League games. So now I've got a little bit more in rotation, which should make us stronger. So mid-table, heart says, can we try and push and get into the Mickey Mouse Europe Cup? But relegation, absolutely not. I mean, the bookies have got us 4-1 for relegation, which just seems absolutely nonsense to me.
Interesting. I don't think you'll go down. I haven't got Wolves to go down, that's for sure. But let me get a quick score prediction from you tomorrow, brother. What are you saying at the Emirates?
With my head or my heart?
Go for both.
My heart, I would absolutely love 2-1 with like a 90th minute breakaway goal. Arsenal are peppering the Wolves goal. We get it in the break, the transition. We're in, bang, silence the Emirates. But my head probably says 3-0, 2-0, 3-0. Yeah. As if it was 2-0, I'd still be okay. When it gets to 3-0 and beyond, I'm probably all right. Let's turn this off. I've had enough now.
Fair play to you, man. Very honest of you. Very honest. Graham, what you saying, bruv? Tomorrow score prediction?
Yeah, I'll go 2-0 down. I remember last year we were 2 up in the first half and we played really well, and then we conceded a late goal against them, didn't we? So they got back to 2-1. I think Zinchenko messed up that day and they got back to 2-1. They carry a threat, but I just think that we'll be too good tomorrow. So I'll go 2-0.
Yeah, I'm going to go 3-0. I think it'll be comfortable because of how good we've been. And I think Wolves are still settling in with a couple of new players. Obviously, they've got big losses to Neto and Kilman. I expect it to be comfortable, but you never know. You really don't know first game of the season. But with most of our players back, I think that we could comfortably win this. Lads, anyone else see anything different other than an Arsenal win? Anyone fancy Wolves or a draw?
Come on, guys. I tell you what will be interesting though to see is if when you see the lineup, if we play 5 or 4 at the back. Yeah. Because last season when we were at the Emirates, we were at 5 at the back, but we didn't have our 2 main midfielders. So we started Boubacar Traoré and Tommy Doyle because Gomez, I think, and Lamina were both out. So I was so fearful because I was actually there undercover in the Arsenal end for that game. So I was actually quite happy with how we performed for that one. But if we go 4 at the back with Aït-Nouri at left back, it could be a long, long afternoon because he's not the best defensively and he'll tear us apart. But if we go 5, I'll be a bit more comfortable.
Well, listen, I like Aït-Nouri. He's better defensively than Zinchenko, trust me. So let's listen. Let's move to Villa and West Ham. I wanted to get you two boys on because you two boys get at it and it gets very heated and spicy.
Well, yeah, I literally got 3 fucking minutes to do it now.
Yeah, sorry, Lawless. You go. Why are West Ham going to beat Villa?
West Ham, we're going to beat Villa because, listen, we got our signings in early. We've done some great business. Villa have a terrible record, not just in London against West Ham, but against West Ham in general. Lopetegui, he's felt the love. He's felt what it's like to be backed by a club. He's been showered with transfers. Excellent transfers. Do you know what I mean? So the atmosphere is going to be incredible. The fans are going to be up for it. We've had the dark cloud of fossil football lifted from over the London Stadium, and we're going to be seeing some entertaining football on the pitch. So, yeah, I think the atmosphere, the energy around the club is going to be too much for Villa. Watkins could potentially not be featuring, from what I'm hearing, which is a big loss to Villa.
He'll feature. He won't necessarily start.
I won't necessarily start. Okay, he's going to come off the bench, or your dream of Duran coming on and scoring a winner, which isn't going to happen.
John McGinn up front, yeah,
because he hates your club. He detests your club, so he's going to score an own goal. So yeah, West Ham are going to win. If you want to, I did do a preview on my channel, so if you want a more in-depth thing than that, then yeah.
Yeah, do you know what? Go over to Lawless Live and subscribe, people, because there's some great content coming up there, and I do enjoy watching little snippets of Lawless going. His confidence, then he's like looking like he's going to get real live nightmares. Then the next minute he's really upset. Then the next minute he's happy again. It's like all the emotions of Lawless. That's what you should have called it. The emotions of Lawless. That's what your podcast
is. That is the life of a West Ham fan. So look, I wish I could stay and listen to Billy's deluded waffle and then just slap him down. And I had some questions for Billy, but alas, next time.
You can ask them and you can watch them back, I suppose.
Okay. A quick question then, right? So Carlos was worth how much did you say? 120 mil?
Who?
Sorry, Douglas Luiz. What am I thinking about? It's because of my streams about Carlos.
Douglas Luiz.
Douglas Luiz was worth 120 million.
After the first half of the season, he was.
Okay, whatever you said. So tell me, right, how much, if he was worth 120 million, how much is Konza? How much is Watkins? 150 Konza?
160.
160 Konza? Watkins, give me all your.
Are you falling for this?
Give us all your top players' fees, right? And just know, if we beat you, there is nothing in this earth that can stop me from being on the Race for Europe on Monday to tell you about it. Just know that. So have a good show. I'll see you on Monday, Billy.
Love Lawless. Love, bro.
Will you know?
Thanks, mate.
Will you know? We'll see.
Yeah.
Oh,
Serious confidence
he
there,
went.
Billy. Still serious.
He's got serious confidence. I hope he makes an appearance no matter what. Because if he does lose and we win, I'd like to give a little bit back as well.
You know what I wanted to ask him as well would be, what does West Ham consider a successful season this year with what they've spent?
Well,
Lawless
was shocked that none of us put them 5th or 6th or even suggested them for top 4. West Ham, listen, they've had a really good summer. I ain't putting them in the Champions League, is my prediction. Let's just let us know. Let's just not do this. Like we have no idea what they're going to be like under Lopetegui. Lopetegui's got to get them to gel. I mean, Tom, you know what sort of football that is. It's dross at times to watch, right? So they've gone from David Moyes dross football to Lopetegui dross football. Like they've had a good window, but let's just be
David Moyes with the sangria in his hand.
Literally.
We saw what a mess that was at Sociedad, didn't we?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. Do you remember when he did that interview and he said, "Uno, dos, tres times we've seen it." Absolutely shocking, man. Shambolic. Billy, what are you saying for this game, bro?
Yeah, I'm. It's a hard one. It's always a tough game going to West Ham. Like Lawless said, I mean, the last time we beat West Ham, we had Kyle Walker in the starting 11, along with Brad Friedel and Darren Bent. So that's how long it's been since we beat West Ham away.
Wow.
So we don't have a good record there. But even without Watkins, I'm feeling. I wouldn't say positive towards it, but I'm not feeling as if it's the be all and end all. Obviously, coming off the back of last season, losing 5-1 on the opening day against Newcastle, we bounced back and managed to finish 4th after the next 37 games. So whatever happens, it is what it is. I'd obviously love the win to get that ball rolling and take that momentum going forward into the Arsenal game, first home game of the season. Look, it's going to be an exciting season for us, no matter what. I'm just going to try and take it in my stride, step by step, game by game, and just get excited throughout the season. And well, hopefully get excited throughout the season.
A top 6 finish, Bill.
Oh, absolutely. That's where I predicted us to finish in 6th. I think we're going to have it's going to be a long, hard season, obviously with the addition of Champions League as well. And I'd be amazed if we was to finish top 4 again. I really, really would. I think we'll be in the conversation for the majority of the season. Don't get me wrong, but I think we will probably just miss out on it. But yeah, I'd snap your hands off for a top 6 finish now, to be honest with you. A top 6 finish to get into the playoffs in the Champions League and to go on a decent run in one of the domestic cups as well. That's what I'd like to see for Villa this season.
See, I think the Champions League might just do a little bit more of an ask, but you've always got a secret weapon, and that is your manager, because he's just so good in Europe. And I know that Lawless would laugh at that because he didn't win the Conference League last year. But for me, Emery, you can't ever write off. He's the reason people are taking Villa seriously, to be fair. And I'm not saying that as an Arsenal fan, because he didn't work for him at Arsenal. But he is, for me, now that Klopp's gone, he's the second best manager in the league for me after Pep. I honestly believe that. I really do. I think he's that good. And I think what he's done with Villa is ridiculous. I know Gerrard was poor, but you were in 16th when he took over. And now you're in the Champions League. That's insane, man. So I think this will be a draw, though, this game. I think West Ham and Villa are going to cancel each other out. I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw. Dan, what are you saying for this game, bruv?
Yeah, I can see Villa getting a win here. I think West Ham fans are always going to be a little bit hopeful, to be honest. But that's just the way they are. Then, like their bubbles, they fade and die. I think 2-1 Villa would probably be reasonable. I expect West Ham to score. But I think Villa will have enough to get past them with ease. Billy, I don't want to sort of jinx this or anything, but like, do you think you've got a chance of going deep in the Champions League because of Unai Emery's record in terms of European competition?
I don't want to speak too soon, obviously, but I agree with what you're saying to a certain extent. Look, he managed to get Villarreal to a Champions League semi-final, which I
Against
think
Liverpool.
says exactly, which
Yeah.
I think says everything, to be honest with you. And that wasn't an easy game for Liverpool either. They didn't walk over them. It was a hard slog for them. So I think it's obviously going to be extremely tough. There's an extra few games in there as well with this league stage. I'm looking to just finish in the top 24, which would mean that top 8 is straight through to the round of 16, and then the next 16 teams below that then go into the playoff stage. And I don't know exactly how it's drawn or anything, but the winner of that then goes through to the round of 16. I want to see us in there. Top 24, I'll be happy. I'll take 24th now, to be honest with you. And yeah, just see how we get on. I'm not going to put my expectations out and say, oh, I think we can get to the quarterfinal, semi-final or whatever. But I don't think it's an extremely outlandish thing to say at the same time, if you know what I'm saying.
Interesting, man. I think Villa will still have a good season. I've predicted to come 5th. Because I still think, and that could probably still get Champions League if this coefficients thing works this season. So you could have a chance of getting Champions League if we're finishing 5th. I still fancy Villa. I think they've got a good squad. I think they've had a good window. And if I'm honest with you, I know Champions League makes it more difficult, but it wouldn't surprise me if they actually did pull up a few madness results in Europe, because that's what Emery can do. So I fancy you to have a good one. I do think you're going to draw. I just think that West Ham and Villa might cancel each other out first game. I think Villa are better than West Ham. I will say that. But it's at West Ham's ground, isn't it, Bill?
It is, yeah. Yeah,
it's not the best ground. It's a horrible ground, that ground. That's actually my worst away ground now. I absolutely hate going there. It's like the worst experience. You can't see anything. You're stuck up with the bloody gods, and they've got that stupid dance stage scaffolding bit down the bottom. What the hell is that all about? Like, that is an embarrassment, isn't it? Like, I always say to Lawless, the most famous thing in that stadium is Mo Farah. Do you know what I mean? Imagine having a stadium. Unbelievable. Anyway, listen, I hope that you do get a result, Bill, so you can just stick it up to Lawless, and then he doesn't have to come on Monday and give everyone hell. Then, do you know what I mean? Because it will be insufferable on Monday if you do lose that one, mate.
Look, we'll be there, win, lose or draw. So whatever happens, I'll take it in my stride. Look, it happened last season, didn't it? That 5-1, no one was expecting it. So no matter what happens for either team. And for any of the teams in the league, that is not going to define your season. So, yeah, it'll be a blip for anyone. But heads up, go on to the next game and just take it one game at a time. And I think that's what we'll be doing.
No, big up, man. Big up. Listen, I wanted to do a bit of a shorter one tonight so we can go watch the second half of the football. So I do want to come to Dan and Martin next. Dan, let me ask you what your thoughts are in this game, because a lot of people I've spoken to, you were on with me and Said earlier going, I think Chelsea are going to win this game. I really fancy Chelsea. I don't know why, bruv. I'm not saying it because I'm an Arsenal fan. Personally, going up against one of the best teams I've ever seen. And Chelsea, I've no idea what you're going to get from Maresca. And the last time you played each other, which, let's be real, was only a few weeks ago, they absolutely hammered you. So what are you saying about this game, man?
Yeah, look, I'm in the same boat. I couldn't quite believe what I was hearing, because I literally just watched us get torn apart by Manchester City. They scored first half 2 goals in a couple of minutes, and they did exactly the same in the second half as well. I'm concerned about this game. I just don't think I've seen enough from Chelsea so far to think that we're going to be able to cope with what Manchester City have to offer, with or without Rodri. I just don't know where that belief is coming from. I think some people have been speaking to too many certain members of the YouTube community, to be honest with you, to get in that ideology about Chelsea's chances this season. Look, I expect Chelsea to try and play the way that they will play under Maresca. I expect them to try and get on the ball against this Manchester City side, but this is the master versus the apprentice. It's quite simple that Maresca's out there copying Pep's homework. And until we start seeing Maresca sort of invent some of his own ideas in terms of what's going to happen on the football pitch. I think he's always going to be one step behind the bloke that invented the style of play that he's trying to coach. So I just don't see him ever getting the better of Pep Guardiola, to be honest with you.
No,
especially with a weaker team and a defence that is all over the place against the best striker in world football.
I think defensively, Chelsea, I'm still not too sure about. Your midfield, you've got to try and get control with that with Caicedo, Lavia, Enzo, Nkunku, Palmer. You've actually got good players in there. I don't know who's going to score your goals. I think you might have to share them around again unless you get an Osimhen, which I think changes things for Chelsea dramatically. But at the moment, I just look at Chelsea and still think they've got so much more to do, and it just looks a mess. And I don't understand what this Maresca's like. Like, Leicester fans have said to me it was a disaster and they were happy to see him go. And they got promoted. It's like, wait, blimey, like, what was he like then? How bad was he? It was mad, really.
I've heard a lot say that he'll be the first, like Leicester fans say he'll be the first one out the door as well. It comes in terms of the manager sack race, because it's just obviously.
Do you think your board will do that though? Do you think your board will get rid of another one?
I've just seen a journalistic piece on the board released today that they would rather admit that they've made a mistake and sack or remove the problem that they've made and try again rather than having patience. But they've just given the bloke a 5-year deal. It just doesn't make sense. Like, what are they doing? So, yeah, I don't know.
This is why I don't rate you. This is why me and Don go back and forward. I don't rate this ownership, man. They're clowns, but Don seems to think they'll get it right. So we'll see. Martin, you've been waiting patiently, mate. I know you've got problems with your laptop, bruv. So appreciate you coming on still on your phone. Don't worry about your camera, mate. What do you make of this talk that Chelsea are going to beat Man City? I know we spoke last night on your channel when you said you weren't 100% confident that Man City, as things are any stronger than last year, but surely you've got confidence going into this one against Chelsea, bruv.
Yeah, I've got confidence in tomorrow's game. Do I have confidence right now on the whole season? No. But no, I just think tomorrow the midfield's going to be key. I'm imagining a Kovacic-Bernardo double pivot. KDB is the 10. And then you'll go with the out-and-out pace with Doku on the left, Fabio on the right, and then the Norwegian meat cleaver in the middle, who's hopefully going to gobble that up because he's got no excuses now. He's got two out-and-out. This is what the fans have wanted. They wanted the exciting, let's go, pacey football. They're going to get it. With these two, you got no Rodri, no Foden, no Jack, no Walker, no Stones. I just go with what we got, but
it's a time to play, man.
My only worry is injuries. It's injuries that concern me at the moment. We've no room for any injuries at the moment. But like I said to you last night, I think that'll change in 2 weeks. I don't see us going into the season as thin as we are right now.
No, I agree with that. And I said to you last night, I think you'll bring in a midfielder and a striker, in my opinion, at least. I don't know if you'll bring any more than that unless anyone else leaves. But it looks like KDB, Ederson, Bernardo, all those rumours early in the window have all been squashed. It looks like all three of them are staying now. So I imagine you'll get another couple in. I mean, this is a good time to play Manchester City. I can't lie. Look at the players that are available there. I mean, Rodri alone is a massive, massive miss. And I wanted to ask you, Martin, like, for me, Rodri and Haaland get injured and I'm rubbing my hands together. As a City fan, at the moment, is that like absolutely wrap them up in cotton wool? Because until you get some cover, I'm not so sure that a false 9 and Kovacic is enough to go for the title. But Pep's done it before, bro. Pep's done it before.
We're not able to wrap them up in cotton wool right now because we've literally just about got enough players to fill a bench. And 4 of them are going to be EDS logs. You know, you're talking McAtee, you're talking O'Reilly, you're talking Rico Lewis, which I know will get more minutes, and he's still, you know, only 19. I said, but, you know, Oscar Bob, sad about him. I was really looking forward to seeing Oscar Bob. You know, he's had his op now over with Dr. Cougar, and we'll have to see if he with Bob now, it's about a recovery. It's about how his body recovers. A good thing. It was he's still young enough to heal that body quickly. But we'll have to say Pep was very coy today in his presser, straight batted everything away. And we'll have to see, but I'm confident for Sunday because I just think we're going to have a bit too much going forward for Chelsea. And Dan's right, the defence, I know it's only pre-season, but, you know, it was Haaland and the kids. And then we got that embarrassing. We had to bring the under-19s on just to give a go out. I wish
What
the
was the
dance
average
follow
age,
said I was
Martin?
kidding.
Didn't you finish with an average age of like 22 or something?
I think it was about 21, 20 by the
21,
time
yeah.
we'd finished.
Honestly,
By the end of kickoff.
it was
By
ridiculous.
the end of the
I
game.
haven't seen half the names, mate, unless I'd seen a Premier League 2 lineup, to be honest with you.
Well, 3 of them have gone. They've already gone. So Soho's gone to Peterborough. Michael Hamilton's out at Middlesbrough. So 3 of them are not even there anymore. So yeah, it was mad. But I never take too much into pre-season. But patience is the key. I said this. I was listening to Dan the other day on another show, dueling it out, and patience has got to be the key for Chelsea. And they don't give him patience. I don't see the point in bringing him in. It was a pointless managerial appointment if you're not going to give him the time to implement his plan. But then again, Poch was one of the most improved managers towards the end of the season, and he got sacked. So I don't know what Chelsea want to do anymore.
No,
I agree with you. I don't think it's clear. I don't think the fans are clear as a whole, and I think that's why there's so much of a split and division between the fans at the moment, because some believe they can see an idea, and some are buying into what the owners are saying or suggesting with their actions, and the others are looking at it thinking, you've ripped up one of the most successful blueprints in the last 20 years. For what reason? So people can't sort of see the method behind the madness at the moment. And I think, look, the worst thing that can happen for Maresca is we go into this game and we play woeful football and start the season off in a shocking way, because it will put the crowd on his back. And to be honest with you, I think there's a high potential that this happens. I know people will be like, oh, it's City though, but don't forget last year, both times in the Premier League and even in the FA Cup, it was a pretty close game. And I think we might see the level that Chelsea had dropped off already in the space of 4 months.
Yeah.
To be honest with you, Dan, I think it's a game I don't think either fan base will lose. Because I think whichever fan base comes out losing on Sunday, I think there'll be a bit of a panic mode setting. City because of how thin we've gone and we've not brought anyone in, and Chelsea because they lit the panic button with Maresca already after the pre-season. So
yeah,
that's probably got draw. That's got draw written all over it probably now.
Look, I'd snap a draw up, to be honest with you, Martin, because I feel like, considering where we were last season to where we are now defensively, I think there's a huge change. I think there's a massive change in the system. There's a massive change in the approach to the way we're going to defend. And I think that's the issue for me that I saw it throughout pre-season. I saw Celtic find it easy. I saw Manchester City barely get out of first gear. I saw Club America at times cause us issues. Like that is a concern, whether it's pre-season or not. I think Jamie Carragher said that. It might be pre-season, but if you're conceding 4 to Celtic and 4 in the space of the amount of time that City scored, there are issues. And the goal that Inter Milan scored against us was woeful. They cut straight through the middle of Chelsea. So to be honest with you, City's danger area is going to be where Chelsea have weaknesses, which is out wide with the direct pace and straight through the middle with Haaland. And
that's the scary thing.
Manchester City will control the ball quite comfortably.
Yeah. We've got 2 out-and-out direct wingers, and I think the midfield it'll be helpful at Bernardo's now this season. Looks like it's going to be moved inside.
Sort of similar return to what you had under like Sane's Sterling era with the directness of the wide players.
It seems the way we're going. That does seem the way we're going to do it now. I know Savio only had 25-minute cameo against United, but it tore him apart. Doku just needs to improve on his final ball. I think Doku's a weird one because Doku does 99% of the stuff correctly, and then the actual most important 1% he struggles at. But I'm hoping that comes with time, because you saw what he did with Delo. He skinned Delo all over the place, but then it was the final ball that was the problem. But if you can just get that final, and the thing that I'm loving at the moment with this is, normally, I said this earlier on the show, we normally get to the byline and cut the ball back to the edge of the box. What we did against United was very Sane Sterling, edge of the box with Bob, and Bernardo's coming in at the back stick from 3 yards out. That's something we've lacked over the last 2 years. We've not been doing that, and if we can get back to doing that, and imagine Haaland being in the back stick, he could have 40, 50 goals.
Yeah, listen, before I bring some of the other lads in on this game, I want to bring this super chat. Graham, I'll throw this to you because it is about Arsenal and Man City for the title, and I think it's quite a good question, really. No 20 goals season striker for 4 seasons now at Arsenal. What a joke. Obviously, Mikel Arteta has not gone and bought that Aubameyang replacement yet. Obviously, Jesus and Havertz are there. Martin, I've spoken to before. Dan, spoken to before enough. I think Billy agrees as well when he said that we probably do need that kind of striker, whether it's an Isak, whether it's a Tony, whether it's Osimhen or a Gyökeres. Obviously, we all want Isak, but it needs to be realistic for this summer. My question to you, Graham, is kind of, do you think that will happen? And if we don't, do you still think we can win the league without one of those strikers?
Well, I don't know who there is out there at the moment, Dan, who we could probably get. I'll be honest with you. I don't think the quality is out there. So I don't know. The players we've been linked with, are they anything better than what we've got? That's the problem. And I do agree we need a goal scorer. I think that is our issue. Havertz got better towards the back end of last season with goals and assists. But Arteta will argue that the goals, we still scored over 80 odd goals last year, didn't we? We're still scoring goals across the team.
91 goals, yeah.
Yeah, we had 5 players who scored, and I haven't got the stats to hand, but there's 5 players who scored over 12 goals. I can't remember exactly how many they all got, but the goals are shared across the team. But yeah, if you've got Haaland up front, that's what makes the difference in the tight games. That's what I was talking about earlier. When you're sort of like not quite at it, the game's tight, and you need someone who's got that ability just to kill a game. That's what Haaland brings. And so Man City win those games that we don't because they've got Haaland. As good as he is, he's a great player. But I'm just saying, in those tight games, he makes a difference. I do think, we do need a finisher, 100%. And it's the irony is that if you think about when Wenger was manager, we always had great strikers, but he neglected the defence, didn't he? Arteta's come in and sort of like gone in the opposite direction. He's sort of like got us more defensively solid. And as much as Calafiori is a great signing, did we really need another defender? That's the argument. We probably needed a quality attacker, somebody who's going to get us 25 goals, because that everybody feels that's the missing part of the jigsaw, and I can understand why. If we had that quality striker, someone like Salah or Haaland, who makes a difference in those games, someone who can just turn a game when it's tight, that gets you over the line and wins your league. I know defences win your leagues. I know that argument, but you need you need a finisher. That's what we lack. So I do think ultimately, if we don't win the league, we will look back and say, if only we had that 25 goal striker. I think that will possibly be one of the reasons why we didn't win the league.
From the outside looking in, have you ever? I mean, do you speak about like Ivan Toney, someone like that, just for ease, for availability?
Do you know what, Tom? I've always said I would take Tony, but a lot of the fan base don't want him. I think they seem to believe that he's got a bad attitude because he's a gambler. I don't really get that for me. I have no idea why people believe that to be the case. We don't know Ivan. None of these guys have met Ivan Toney, by the way. They don't know him.
Paul Merson did all right for you, didn't he? And he likes a good footer.
Exactly. Well, we had Tony Adams who was pissed while he was playing for us winning doubles. Do you know what I mean? So I don't really get it, really. But for me, I do like him. Listen, I don't think that he is guaranteed to win us the title, but he's better than Eddie and Ketia. That's for sure. All right. So if
Eddie's going then, isn't he? Eddie's being sold. Eddie will go.
Well, that's what I'm saying. We need to replace Eddie, don't we? And I think I think Ivan Toney is, if I'm honest with you, I would start Tony over Havertz and Jesus. That's what I would.
What about his age? The age he is now. How old is he?
I don't mind 28, Graham. That's pretty experienced.
Yeah, but Arteta's building a young team for the future, isn't he? Of young players, 22, 23, 24. Who's the oldest player in that Arsenal team at the moment? There's no one around 28, is there?
Party, I suppose, 30.
Yeah, but he's on. I don't think he's going to be here much longer, is he? And he's barely fit. So I think Arteta and Edu are looking for a quality young striker. That's what they're looking for, and that's why
Sorry, Graham.
Now go on.
No, I was just going to say, I think I understand with what you're saying, but I think for someone who, it's all right building this young squad, but I think now the point that you're at, you need someone who's going to be able to come in and bang goals. Do you know what I mean? Instead of someone coming in and having that potential doubt, I suppose, but having that potential there to then grow into becoming a 20, 30 goal a season striker for you. I think if
Yeah.
Ivan Toney comes in, you know that he's a natural born striker. You know that he's got that finishing ability. And I'm sorry to bring it back because I'm sure you probably have trauma over it, but that Trossard opportunity against Villa at the Emirates, you know, I think if you have an Ivan Toney in a position like that, I know it was point blank, but I feel like he scores it. And that game completely flips on the head, and you probably go on and win. And you probably go on and win the league because of it as well. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think you make a very good point, and that was a massive moment in that game. You're absolutely right. But Trossard is one of the best finishers in the club. He missed that chance, but all strikers miss chances. Yeah. But he is a pretty good finisher, Trossard. I'm not saying we go out and buy somebody potential. I'm talking about somebody who's, you know, beyond potential, but not 28. If you understand what I'm saying. You know, so I think that's what they're looking for. That's what they're looking for, Billy.
The problem then would be the price, though.
Identifying the right guy. Yeah,
I think the problem then would be the price, because anyone around that sort of point with the description that you've just said is going to be easily upwards of 50, 60 million probably. Look how much Solanke's just cost Spurs. Now, I quite like Dominic Solanke, but I wouldn't say that he's probably worth 60, 65 million.
No, I agree.
But in the market now, with the striker market as it is, he probably is to a certain extent. Do you know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, I think you got to pay more than 60 million for a quality striker, though. The release clauses.
Yeah.
I mean, Chelsea being linked with Osimhen, aren't they? Look at what they want for Osimhen. You know, and I'm not saying Osimhen is who Arsenal want, but a quality striker like that. If you want a striker like that, you got to pay big money. Really pay big money. And so I think there's just not the quality strikers out there at the moment. All the top quality players are in. That's why Arsenal are being linked with the likes of Kingsley Coman and Leroy Sané, because all the quality seems to be in the wide attacking player area, not in the quality in the centre forward areas across Europe. You know, the players that Arsenal have been linked with, Sesko, the boy in Portugal, I forget his name, Dan. What's the guy's name in Portugal?
Victor Gyökeres.
Yeah, I wouldn't say that they're anything better than what we got. So, and who is there out there? You tell me who there is out there who Arsenal could go out and potentially get. Name me somebody.
Well, I mean, Victor Gyökeres is the guy that we could potentially get. Obviously, Victor Osimhen looks like he's Chelsea bound. Toney is the other one that's available. I personally believe that all three of them in front of goal are more clinical than Jesus and Havertz. That's what I would say. But again, it doesn't mean we're going to win the league, but I think what we have to do is maximise that chance. And I think by us just going, don't think there's anyone out there, well, we ain't going to win the league then. We've got to try do something, ain't we? Do you know what I mean? In my opinion, anyway. Otherwise, what we're doing potentially is we're going, right, Reece, Eddie and Smith Rowe, you're gone. Oh, what three did you bring in? No one. We just kept Ethan Nwaneri. Oh, well, Arsenal aren't going to win the league then. That's the way I see it. Personally, I think Arsenal have got to go and get an attacking player after Marino, who looks like he is going to come in finally at Arsenal, along with Calafiori. So,
I think they are, aren't they? There is some. I mean, Edu said, and to be honest, we got no reason to disrespect Edu and Arteta, because in the last 2 years they've always delivered in the transfer market. You know, whatever you say, and they've said that we're going to be excited at the end, at the end of this window. So they've got somebody. I think there's somebody coming. Who that player is, I don't know.
Yeah, absolutely. And you're right. That's what we were. John Duran. I think we will get somebody. I just don't know who that somebody is, and I hope it's more than one body. If I'm honest with you, let me come to a close to look at this Chelsea Man City. Which way this is going? I personally think Manchester City are going to win this game 2-1. That's my opinion. I think they will win the game. I think Haaland is just ridiculous, if I'm honest, and they have got top quality. I know people, Martin's gone through who they're missing, but let's be real. This is a squad that, did the treble not long ago. So I'm not going to have too much sympathy, if I'm honest, with their squad when they got a few injuries. I still think it's good enough, and I think they'll win 2-1. Billy, what are you saying, bro?
I'm gonna go 4-1 Man City, Haaland hat trick, and that's coming from someone that doesn't own him in fantasy league.
Wow. Well, I do own him in fantasy league, that's for sure. 4-1 City. Wow, Tom, what are you saying, bro?
I literally was going to say 4-1, but I'll be different, so I'll go middle ground 3-1 between the two.
I'll leave Dan and Martin till last. Graham, what do you think the score will be, mate? Chelsea City.
Well, before I'd say what the score's going to be, if Chelsea want to get anything from the game, they got to start. They got to stop doing what they did in that friendly and start playing out from the back and giving the ball away out in and around their penalty box. Because I think we talked about this last season. That last season when Chelsea played Man City, they did very well against Man City. I know the game was quite open at the bridge; it was a 4-4 draw. But when they played them at the Etihad, I thought that Pochettino had a very good system set up the way they played City that day, and I think Arsenal looked at that the way Chelsea got a result that day. And I think we had a sort of like the way we played. I think playing in the way that Chelsea played, we learnt from how Chelsea went there and got a point. And I think Chelsea in the semi-final gave them a really tough game, and it was a very tight game. So Chelsea have shown, if they get their tactics right, they can give City a game. The problem is the new manager's come in, has ripped up what they were doing. Certainly, the way they play out defense, the way they are structured defensively, he's changed the way that they defend, the way they play out, in my opinion. And City took advantage of that in that friendly. So it'll be interesting to see if he changes that on Sunday. He's going to have to if they want to get a result. I do think City are too strong for Chelsea at this moment in time, and I think City will win comfortably by a couple of goals.
Interesting. Let's come to you, Martin. What are you saying? Man City, Chelsea, or should I say Chelsea, Man City, the right way around?
I've said 2 or 3-1. I think we'll win. I think it'll be, like I said, Chelsea was just going to get used to playing the ball out. It takes time. It takes time to get used to it, and you'll have really worrying moments. And the one team you don't want to do that against is us, because we know exactly, as you saw, what we'll do is just close down all the spaces from the get-go. So there'll be no options to come out from the back. And Chelsea did do very well last season with the ball through the middle and because I thought last season, this is going to sound mad. I'm actually over the moon Conor Gallagher's not playing against us this season, because he for 2 games last year, he ran the midfield. And that's what was our a little bit of an Achilles heel. Chelsea ran the midfield in both games.
Yeah.
And we can't. And with Maresca, that won't happen.
I feel like Raheem Sterling and Conor Gallagher were probably the 2 best performers against Manchester City every time we played, to be honest with you. I think Raheem Sterling was unbelievable in both games against Manchester City. I don't know if you think that, Martin, but I don't see either of them getting near the starting lineup tomorrow.
No.
Wow. It's crazy, isn't it? Because this Trevor Chalobah and Conor Gallagher thing, that is a disgrace as far as I'm concerned, mate.
Yeah.
I know
there's no other word for it. The treatment is literally a disgrace.
Oh, it's mad. I can't believe you do that to 2 of your own, really. It's fine selling them. That's not the problem. This is what some of the Chelsea fans don't get. I don't see the problem. We want to sell them. They're crap. And I'm like, right, well, Eddie and Nelson ain't the best. But we don't go bomb them off and say, right, off you go and train on your own, lads. You're on your own. We ain't going to look after you. Find yourself another club. This is a disgrace, man.
I'm pretty sure this ownership gave both of them new contracts as well. So it's their own faults. They gave him the contracts that they're now unhappy that they've.
Man. That's what I'm saying.
And I saw people comparing it to the Chiesa situation at Juventus. Chiesa's not Juventus through and through. These boys have been at the club since they're 6 to 8 years old. You just don't do it this way. And I think that's the issue, is that who are these people running the club? Their understanding of what football is in this country and what it means to be loyal to a club, it's just gone over their heads. They just don't simply understand it.
Facts, bro. Absolute facts. What are you going with score-wise tomorrow, Dan?
I think Chelsea don't score tomorrow, probably 2-3-0 City.
Interesting, man.
We really got lucky against Inter Milan. We scored from a lucky set piece. It bounced down to Chukwueze in the 90th minute. So, yeah, I don't see where we're creating those chances at the moment with a squad that just isn't ready to go.
Will Palmer start on Sunday?
But he should do. I think he probably will. Obviously, he returned late. If he doesn't, I'll be surprised. I think we'll be leading the line with Mark Gui, and I think that's the reason I'm slightly concerned about us in front of goal.
And Neto be on the bench?
Probably just about. I don't know where he's at. Did he have a pre-season, Tom? I don't know. So.
No, not really. That's what made us kind of think, oh God, here he goes, he's off. So he popped out for a little bit, but he didn't feature in any of the games, etc. So I'd imagine he's slightly off the pace.
Yeah.
And he is a player that usually takes a good 3 or 4, whenever his hamstring always goes, and he's never the same netter. This is one of my concerns for him. It takes him 3 or 4, 5 weeks to do that at Wolves. You get that opportunity, right? Because you're still one of our best players. But when you've got a squad like that, do you get 3 or 4 bang average performances to then kick on? But
I had to laugh, by the way, just quickly. I know you want to wrap up, Dan, but Reece James and Pedro Neto are already mates because they've shared rehabilitation stories through Instagram on their hamstrings. It's unbelievable, isn't it? Like,
unreal, mate. Reece James is already injured again, isn't he?
yeah, he is. Well, he's back on the grass today, but yeah, already hamstring issues on a hamstring that he had operated on last season. That was meant to be fixed.
Oh my
God.
I think his career must be in serious threat, mustn't it?
Yeah, do you know, it reminds me of like Jack Wilshere and Diaby, those sort of players where they just never got their injuries under control, you know, and it's such a shame because there's so much talent there. We're all well aware of the talent he possesses, but yeah, it's looking like it's a real problem. You know, once you go for an operation, it doesn't seem to fix it. That's normally the last straw, and then it's Ledley King maintenance for the rest of your career, innit? So I think that's where we're probably at with Reece, unfortunately.
Ledley King's a good shout, actually. He's very similar because Ledley King, I thought, was one of the best centre halves around at the time. I honestly really thought he was top quality and he just was never fit enough. And Reece James has got everything about the perfect right back for me. Like everything about him when he's up top. He is top draw at everything. His delivery, getting forward, defensively, his intelligence, his leadership qualities. I think he is an absolute
physicality.
baller.
Yeah, he's got everything, isn't he?
He has. Yeah. I mean, he's got everything but staying fit.
Just quickly, Maresco seems to want to play him as inverted fullback. I mean, his quality is marauding forward and getting forward on the outside, overlapping fullback. But he seemed to want to play him inside, didn't he? What did you think of that?
Well, I think this is his ideology from obviously last season with Pereira at Leicester. I think sort of led him to believe that he might try that with Reece. Reece looked way out of place, to be honest with you. He's tried it with Gusto, probably had more success. Tried it again with Cucurella. I think with Reece, he almost sort of realised it didn't work and actually dropped him off into almost a 3 at the back row on the right-sided centre-back. And for me, that is just a complete misprofile in a Reece James. But the only thing I wondered is it a maintenance strategy that Reece James is far too dynamic for his own body, and actually having him marauding forwards and backwards for a whole game just isn't going to be feasible anymore for him. And that they're looking at keeping him in sort of a more controlled area. I'm not sure, but they'd probably rather have him on the pitch than not on the pitch. But yeah, I don't disagree. Reece James needs to be allowed to do what Reece James does, and he shouldn't be misprofiled into an inverted or central defensive role, to be honest with you.
Interesting. I mean, if you're going to do that with anyone, I don't think Gusto or Reece James can invert. I mean, Cucurella probably could. But
Gusto's look really good, I have to say. Inverted
Okay,
looks really, really strong. I worry about our midfield, so actually it might be useful because Casado and Enzo really didn't look up to scratch for me. Neither did Lavia after a really good pre-season. So, look, Chelsea have got a lot of work to do, and I think they need patience, like we've all said. But I'm not sure if the board are going to be able to give that to Maresca or not. But it'll be a baptism of fire on Sunday. I'm absolutely sure of that.
Yeah. Facts, man. Listen, we're going to wrap this up so we can go watch the second half. Apparently, it's 0-0, and Man United are boring the pants of everyone. So we haven't missed much from the sound of it. Nothing's new with Manchester
honestly,
United.
if you want to change your predictions now, by the way, for Man United, I'd be dropping them down a couple of places, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I haven't seen any of the game, but I hear it's like lack of control in every department, apparently. So there we go. But that's why I put them 7th, and everyone was putting them 4th and 3rd and 5th. And I was like, whoa, what they done? Because they signed Xerxes. Calm down. Like, they're going to not. And they've got this idiot in charge, man. Honestly, he is not. Honestly, this guy is not going to last till Christmas. Ruud van Nistelrooy already looks like the manager. Did you see him tonight warming the players up?
They keep putting the camera on him. Yeah. Do you know what? I was wondering whether or not that Ten Hag's sort of taking a backward seat, like Fergie almost did, and then like I'm trying to think, they had so many different coaches over the years, didn't they? But like Mike Phelan basically ran the football side of things, and then Fergie just ran the show.
Sounds a bit like Gerrard and Michael Beale.
I kind of think that's what's happening here. I think Ten Hag's basically said, "Look, I'll tell the players off on that, but you do the coaching, Ruud." That's what it looks like.
It's mad, isn't it? I watched.
I'll tell him to sit on the naughty step.
Yeah, it's incredible, and it really is. Listen, big up to all of you for coming on. Big up for all of you for being in the chat as well. Big up to the interaction. Big up to Billy. Make sure you go follow Total Screamers. AV Billy,
mate.
Absolute legend for coming on, man. Tom, thank you so much, man, for stepping in for Little Dan. Obviously, Wolves Fancast, mate. How can people follow you, bruv?
Yeah, well, to be fair, Matt, I was quite new to the Wolves Fancast. So, yeah, just go to the Instagram Wolves Fancast if you've got any interest whatsoever in Wolves. But fingers crossed tomorrow. Come on, you Wolves. A nice little cheeky weekend. And I'll be out on the beers all night if we do.
Love, man. Love. Absolute legend for coming on. Dan, likewise, man. Make sure you go follow Dan at BDB. Dan, pleasure, mate, having you on.
Yeah, pleasure as always. Lovely to chat to all of you guys. And I can't wait for this season to get going so we can have more of these conversations.
100%, man. Graham, legend for coming on, man. It was going to be me and you, but you know what? We'll have to do that again another time because there's too much going on with the season starting, mate. But thank you for coming on, Graham.
No, a real pleasure. Thanks for inviting, Dan. Really enjoyed it. Thank you.
Legend. Martin, likewise, man. Mancunian way. What you got coming up? Great show last night.
Yeah, nothing now. Post match, Chelsea. Few spaces. That's it, really. And then we'll kick on. I'm expecting a busy 2 weeks. Hopefully,
Yeah.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah, I hope you don't have a busy 2 weeks, and I hope Arsenal do. But you know, we'll see what happens.
Look, it won't be Eze anymore. Won't be Eze. That one's
Oh
gone.
yeah, release clause is done now. Is that true?
Yeah. So God knows who it is. Are we going back for Bruno? I don't know. I can't make head and tail of what we're doing at the moment.
No, I'm a bit the same, to be honest, mate. I'm a bit the same. But I expect it to be an interesting last couple of weeks. But big up for coming on, Martin. Always a pleasure, mate, speaking to you.
Anytime, mate.
Thanks a lot, man. Listen, guys, we're going to leave it there. Take care. Hit a like, hit a subscribe on your way out, and we'll see you next time. Take it easy. And come on, you Arsenal. And come on, Fulham.